Jen here in my kitchen. Once again, today we're making fajitas. Fajitas are a really quick dinner that you can make. Lots of vegetables, and you can choose whatever protein you're going to use. Today we're using chicken. So fajitas are basically like tacos, but all of the ingredients that go inside are cooked. So I've got my chicken breast here, and I'm just going to slice it up just into thin strips. And then we're going to let that marinate while we cook, or while we cut the rest of our ingredients. So I'm cutting across the chicken breast so it'll be nice and tender, and also they're fairly thin, so it won't take a whole lot of time to cook. I'm going to put it in my bowl. So when you're working with raw meat, you always want to make sure all of your utensils are cleaned afterwards. So I'm done cutting up my chicken breast, so I'm going to clean my knife and my cutting board so I can use it for the rest of the ingredients. And if you're going to use the same cutting board and knife when you're done, then make sure you dry it really well so nothing's slippery. Okay, so we've got our chicken in the bowl here, and it's going to marinate in the juice of half of a lemon and some spices. So fajita spices are usually like chili powder, ground cumin, some thyme and oregano. I've got garlic powder in there, and some smoked paprika. So I'm using this half of the lime to put all over the chicken, and then I've got another half here that I'm going to make like a little bit of a fresh salsa. I have some tomatoes and green onions and cilantro in there. I'm just gonna let that get nice and happy when it's mixed together, and that'll sit while we cook our ingredients and be really tasty. And in go my spices. So we'll want 2 different spoons. I'm going to mix up the salsa, and another spoon to mix up or I might just use my tongs to mix up the chicken and the marinade. So get that mixed in pretty well, and let that sit just for the next few minutes while we're chopping up our peppers. My fresh salsa that's going to go on top, and all of your toppings are optional. You can do grated cheese or some crumbled feta cheese, sour cream if you like. You don't have to do the salsa, you can just do a fresh tomato, maybe some chopped up lettuce. There's our salsa. Then I have different colored peppers here. We've got green, yellow, orange, red, and you're going to cut them into fairly long strips. And this takes no time to cook. So again, I'm prepping all of my ingredients first so they're ready to go, and that way the dinner comes together a lot more easily. So if we're talking about kitchen equipment, I was going to mention all of the things that I like to have to help my kitchen run more smoothly. So I really like to have, just one good chef's knife, one that's going to stay sharp for you. And a sharp knife definitely helps make things go quicker, but also it's a lot safer to have a good sharp knife. When you have a dull knife, things slip, and you still can definitely very easily cut yourself with a dull knife. The other thing I really like is to have a good set of tongs, or a couple set of tongs. You can do a whole lot. You can just stir things up with tongs, but it also helps when you're using ingredients like raw chicken or raw meat. Dirty your hands. Helps for flipping things, and I like a silicone spatula for stirring. I find them very useful. So I've got a white onion here. I'm just going to slice it up real thin as well. I think I'm just going to do half. Okay, so now we're going to cook our chicken. Get our pan heated up, and you do this similar to our stir fry last week, where you want to use really high heat to get some nice caramelization on the outside of the meat, and also the peppers and onions. So a little bit of olive oil in there, and a little bit of olive oil in the pan. And once our pan is heated up, we'll add our chicken, and depending on how much chicken you have here, you might want to do it in 2 batches because we don't want to crowd it. We don't want them steaming and getting really liquidy. We want to use the heat and the spacing of the chicken to get them cooked the way we want them to, which is, you know, really searing the outside and not getting it steamy. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to heat up the tortillas while our chicken is cooking. I'm going to give these a flip if they're looking brown on one side. And while it's cooking, I'll show you how to heat up the tortillas really quickly. I don't own a microwave, so I think usually you might heat up your tortillas in the microwave, but I find it just as quick and easy on the stove top. So I have a gas burner. You can do it right on the gas burner. I'll set this aside so you can see. Or if you have a good non-stick pan, it's really dry, you could do it in the pan. So I've got my plate sitting back here, and I have a clean towel that you're going to, just a kitchen towel, open up and lay down over top of your plate like this. So as we heat up our tortillas, we're going to put them in and we're going to fold the towel over top, so that kind of helps them steam. And we've got just flour tortillas. So heat up your pan. We're not adding any fat, no oil. There's nothing in the pan. And then we're just going to throw it in for 30 seconds aside, and then put it into our towel that's on top of the plate. So if you have a non-stick pan, you don't want to scratch it with metal tongs. They have silicone coated tongs, or this is where I like to use my silicone spatula just to get under it and flip it. Just let it heat up. This pan's still heating. You just want to warm the side, and then you'll start to see some browning on the outside of the tortilla. And our chicken's getting cooked. So I'm not taking a temperature, but you'll know when you press on the chicken, if it has some give to it, like this, then you know it still has some cooking to go. But if it feels fairly firm to the touch like this, you don't want to dry it out. But then you know it's likely done. I'll just give this one a couple more minutes, but the others I'm going to put into a fresh, clean bowl that I have over here. And start my second batch. And if it looks like your pan's getting dry, then you might want to add a little bit more oil. Mine's fine. Okay, come and have this tortilla. It's getting kind of white on the outside. Oh, it's bubbling up. You know, that's a good sign. So just let that go for a couple of seconds, maybe 20, 30 seconds, and then we're going to put it on the plate. So again, I'm not overcrowding my pan with the chicken, just letting them kind of cook in a single layer. Turn that down a little bit. That's what you want, some nice golden spots on the outside of the tortilla. And then fold our cloth over top to let that steam and stay nice and warm. Yeah, that one looks really nice. That's it. Now my chicken is all done, and I'm going to add a little bit more oil to the pan. And this is going to be very quick because we really don't need to cook these ingredients too much. So I'm going to add the onions, let them cook for a couple of minutes. You can add a tiny bit of salt here just to bring out some of the juices. And you notice I used the same pan that I did the chicken in because there's lots of nice spices in the bottom of the pan. And I really like using the cast iron pans. You can often find cast iron pans at a secondhand store, like go to Value Village or Goodwill, because people will get rid of them because they've gotten rusty, but it takes just a little bit of time to clean up the rust on a pan, and then you'll season it. So I know Chris talked a little bit about using his cast iron pan last week, and I do feel like it's a really good pan to have because they can become non-stick once you've seasoned it really well. And you can look up videos on how to clean and season your cast iron pan. I like them because you can get them really, really hot and you're not going to ruin them. If they do rust on you or the seasoning gets cleaned off, then you can always re-season them. They're really great and they'll last you forever. I think these onions are just kind of starting to sweat a bit, and I'm going to add some peppers. So I have an oven mitt here, but if you have a clean, dry cloth towel, use that to hold on to your pan. So when you're stirring and cooking at a high temperature, your handle is going to get very hot. So it's always good to have something to protect your hand, because you still want to have a good grip on it. Otherwise, your pan or your contents of your pan can go flying, which is not only dangerous, but it's upsetting. You lose your dinner. It's really just a few minutes of cooking. You just want to soften these just a little bit. And then I like to serve this just as is. Get a hot plate on your table, add the chicken back in, and then serve it family style with your plate of tortillas and your toppings, and everybody can help themselves. Add the chicken back in with its juices. Give that one last toss. And there you have it. Dinner's ready in no time. And who doesn't love fajitas? Well, I hope you've enjoyed this and happy cooking. See you next week. Oh, I know you want cheese. Okay, I'll get you your tortilla. Some peppers and chicken on there. Right. And do you want some sour cream?
Yeah.
Sour cream and cheese. Cheese?
Yeah.
There. And you want some salsa?